All right, I'm going to go over problem by problem, go over your study guide with you. I've got these arranged in order all the way from one step, pretty simple, to compounds, some of the more complex ones. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. This is number 1. X plus 13 is greater than 7. All right. I ask you to solve for this. As always, that means get x by itself. To do that, I want to subtract 13 from both sides. All right. If I do that, on the left, all that's left is x. And on the right, 7 minus 13 is going to give you negative 6. All right. So we're done. All right. I go down to the number line. I go to the negative 6. It's going to be open circle because this is greater than. So I'm going to put open circle. And then x is greater than negative 6. So when it's greater, it always goes to the right. And that's your problem. All right, here's number 2. All right, it's a one-step equation. All right, I've got 10 is less than n plus 6. I'm asked to solve this. All right, first thing I hope you see is I need to get rid of this plus 6. So I want to do that by subtracting 6. I have to do it on both sides. All right, I do this, and this leaves an n on the right side. And on the left side, we have a 4, right? N is by itself, so it's solved. All right, taking this down to my number line. All right, it's going to be a 4. It's going to be open circled. All right, and let's think about what this says. This says 4 is less than n, but it also says n is greater than 4. So if n is greater than 4, it's going to be in the direction like this, going to the right. All right, let's go on to number 3. All right, here's number 3. And like I've said in previous videos, you'd probably be best off right now hitting pause and trying this by yourself. But if you're totally unsure, just go ahead and continue watching this. All right, I got negative 9x is greater than or equal to 171. All right, so this will be a one-step equation. Yeah, I'm sorry, a one-step inequality. All right, so I'll look on the left side. It's negative 9 minus 9 times x is greater than 171. So I know I need to do the opposite. This is multiplication, so I want to divide. Divide both sides by negative 9. All right, three parts to finish in this. First, I hope you all see that the negative 9s cancel out. You're just left with x. All right, we divided by negative 9. That means that the sign is going to change directions. We divided by a negative. And the last part of the problem is 171 divided by 19. That's a mistake. That was supposed to be just divided by 9. Okay, I'm dividing both sides by 9. If you do that, you end up with an answer of negative 19. All right? So 171 divided by negative 9, because I'm dividing both sides by negative 9, equals x is less than or equal to negative 19. So if I go down the number line, let me put some of these numbers on the line. So I've got minus 17, minus 18, minus 19, minus 20, minus 21, minus 22. All right, I can put this on the number line now. So I go to negative 19. All right, it's less than or equal to. That means it's going to be closed circle. Closed circle. All right, and I know x is less than not negative 19. When it's less than, it goes to the left. right? Key points on this problem is we divided by a negative number, a negative 9, so the sign changes directions. All right, number 4. So take a look at this, see if it's something you want to tackle, or think about it as something you want to see me do. All right. So I've got negative 23 is less than negative 10 plus x. All right. I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to add 10 to both sides. All right. If I do that, I've got negative 13 is less than x. I've got it solved. I just have to graph this. So it's going to be negative 13, right, which is right here. It's going to be open circle. And I know x is greater than negative 13, so it's going to go to the right. All right, number 5 is another one-step equation. All right, I've got 32 is less than r plus 12. All right, solving this inequality, I want to get r by itself. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. If I do that, I end up with 20 is less than r. All right, or another way of thinking that is r is greater than 20. So I go down to the number line. It's going to be an open circle. All right, open circle because it's just a less than. And since r is greater than 20, I know that it's going to be going to the right. All right, number 6 is another one-step equation, but it's our first one. We've got a fraction in it. All right, I want you to think about what the fraction is. You know, yeah, it says m over 4, but it's the same thing as m divided by 4. And one of the things I keep saying over and over again, to get a number by itself, you want to do the operation that's opposite of what's going on. What's going on in here is division, divide by 4. The opposite of that is going to be to multiply by 4. And you have to do it to both sides, all right? You do this, the 4's cancel out. You end up with m is less than or equal to 60. All right? So this is less than or equal to, so it's going to be closed circle. Closed circle at 60. And I know m is less than 60, so less than is always going to go to the left on a number line, and you're finished. All right, with number 7, we start into two-step equations. So this one is negative 1 is less than or equal to negative 10 plus n divided by 8. All right, in number 6, we had a fraction, or again, division, so we have to treat this the same way. I want to get that negative 10 plus n by itself. So the way to do that is to undo this divide by 8. The way to do that is to multiply by 8. I use parentheses, it's just good math. All right, if I do that, if I multiply both sides by 8, I end up with minus 10 plus n, and on the right side I end up with negative 8. All right, so next step, this is a two-step equation. I want to get rid of this negative 10. To do that, I'm going to add 10 to both sides. All right, on the left side, negative 8 plus 10 gives me a 2. 2 is less than or equal to the negative 10, and the plus 10 cancel out, and I'm just left with an n. All right, I go down to the 2. It's less than or equal to, so I know it's going to be closed circle. All right, and I know n is greater than n is greater than 2, so it's going to go to the right. All right, number 8, another fraction. All right, you're all getting a lot of practice at this. All right, got r plus 10 divided by 14 is less than 2. All right, first thing I always want to do is to get rid of that nasty fraction. So this is divided by 14. All right, that means on both sides you're going to multiply by 14. All right, if I do that, the 14s cancel out. I'm left with r plus 10 is less than 2 times 14, which is 28. All right, this is a two-step equation. I still got one last thing to do. I got to take care of this left side. R plus 10, so I want to subtract 10. I have to do that to both sides. I'm left with r is less than 18. So, open circle. R is less than, so it goes to the left. All right, number 9. All right, so let's look at this. We got 22 is less than or equal to 2 plus 10m. All right, one of the mistakes I've seen people in class do right now, they think, okay, let's go ahead and divide. You cannot divide yet. You have to get the multiplication by itself. You have to get that 10 times m by itself before you can divide. So we have to take care of this 2 first. The way to do that is we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. All right, if we do that on the left side, we've got 20 less than or equal to, these 2 and negative 2 cancel out, 10m. All right, now we can get rid of the 10m. All right, we can divide. We divide by 10. We divide by 10. The 10s cancel out. All right, we're left with m on the right side. 20 divided by 10 gives us 2 on the left side. All right, 2 is our number for our number line, and it's less than or equal to, so we know it's going to be closed circle. Color it in. All right, we know that m is greater than 2. So since m is greater than 2, this is going to go to the right, and we're finished. All right, we're at the halfway point of this study guide. Let's see what we've got going here. We got n plus 6 divided by 4 is greater than 2. So we've got the fraction. We want to get rid of the denominator. We are going to multiply each side by the denominator. All right. That leaves us with 2 times 4 on the right, which is 8. And the 4's cancel out on the left. We're left with n plus 6. And I'm moving a little faster now because I think you should have the hang of it by now. N plus 6, to get n by itself, I'm going to subtract 6. All right. Those two cancel each other out. You're left with n is greater than 2. All right. Greater than 2, open circle. Line goes to the right because all these numbers are greater than 2. All right, let's move on to number 11. All right, number 11, we're using a little bit bigger numbers, but if you're using the right mechanics, it really doesn't matter. You've got calculators there to handle these bigger numbers. All right, two-step, 106 is greater than 7a plus 1. I want to get the 7a by itself, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract that 1 from both sides. All right, if I do that, those two go away. I'm left with 7a equals 105. All right. Next step is to take care of this 7a. That's 7 times a. I want to do the opposite. I want to divide by 7. Have to do it on both sides. 7's cancel out. I'm left with a on the right, and 105 divided by 7. You probably have to put that in your calculators. It is 15. All right, so the number I want to go to is 15. It is open circle, and I know that A is less than 15. A is less than 15, so I want to go to the left. Left, less. All right, moving on to number 12. All right, number 12. All right, number 12 is a two-step equation, a little bit bigger numbers still, but the same mechanics. Just if you get the mechanics down, it really doesn't matter how big the numbers are. Everybody owns a calculator. Okay, so got minus 9a plus 10 is greater than 181. All right, I'm trying to get a by itself. I want to isolate that minus 9a over on the left. First thing I want to do is I want to get rid of that 10. Minus 10, minus 10. All right, if I do that, I end up on the left side, I end up with minus 9a is greater than 181 minus 10 is going to be 171. All right, take a good look at what we got here. We got minus 9a is greater than 171. Minus 9a. We're going to be dividing by negative 9 because I want to get that a by itself. All right. Okay, 3 steps here. First, the negative 9s cancel out. You're left with just bringing your a down. We divided by a negative number. Sign changes directions. Every time you multiply or divide by a negative number. Final thing is we want to divide 171 divided by negative 9. Put that in your calculator. All right. You should come up with negative 19. All right. Okay, one thing I did notice, and if you're following along on the worksheet, this was supposed to be greater than or equal to. So I'll just add that. All right, this keeps it in alignment with the answer sheet. But all the mechanics still stay the same. All I forgot was to put the equal sign underneath there. All right, so I go to negative 19. All right, it's closed circle because it's got that equal sign underneath the less than. All right, I want to make it a closed block. A is less than negative 19. Less is always to the left. I put my arrow in. I'm done. All right, if you peeked ahead, that you see that this sheet is this practice guide is split up, where I've got 12 inequalities, then followed by 8 compound inequalities, and this is the first compound inequality. Compound inequality just means 2 problems on the same number line. This is an OR. All right, I'll write that in the middle. OR. All right. I hope you remember by now, ORs go in the opposite direction. So if it doesn't go in the same opposite direction, probably did something wrong on this problem. So let's do this. We got to do 2 different problems. The one on the left, negative 6 n is less than or equal to negative 12. Right? To get the n by itself, I want to do the opposite. This is negative 6 times n. I want to divide by negative 6. Divide by negative 6. Right? Negative 6's cancel out. I'm left with n. Switches directions. Sign switches directions because we divided by a negative number. Sign switches directions. Negative 12 divided by negative 6. Right? I hope you realize that turns positive. 12 divided by 6 is 2. All right, on the right side, pretty quick problem. N plus 3 is less than or equal to negative 2. All right, want to subtract 3 from both sides. All right, if I do that, I end up with n is less than or equal to negative 5. All right, so put that on the number line. I go to the negative 5. It's going to be closed circle. All right, I know n is less than negative 5, so it's going to be to the left. N is greater than 2. Again, That one is greater than or equal to, so it's going to be closed circle, and it's going to go to the right. Right? Like all ors, you've got them going in opposite directions. All right, 14 is our first and. Number 13, we did an or. This one we did an and. All right? So we know that this is going to look like a line segment. It's going to be like pointing in towards each other. All right, this is just a one-step equation. I look at this, and in the middle there, I see that I got 2v. To solve this, I have to get v by itself. Don't let it freak you out that there's three different sides, three different sections to this problem. All right, you just know that you got to get v by itself. Once you get v by itself, you're done. So 2 times v, the way to undo that is divide by 2. But I have to do it to all 3 sections. Sometimes I slip up and say all 3 sides, but it's all 3 sections. If I do this, all right, the 2's cancel out. I'm left with a v in the middle. All right. On the right side, I've got negative 2 divided by 2. That's going to be negative 1. And on the left, I've got negative 10 divided by 2. That's going to be negative 5. All right, let's put this on the number line. Negative 5, right? It's going to be greater, it's less than or equal to, so I know it's going to be closed circle. I've got negative 1. I know it's going to be closed circle because it's less than or equal to the sign over here, right? Then I just connect it because I know v is somewhere in between negative 5, and it's somewhere in between that and negative 1. So that's why I cross this line here. All right, let's move on to 15. All right, another inequality here, compound inequality, and this is just going to be one step. All right, this is a pretty easy problem. I guess the biggest challenge of this is graphing it. This is negative 10 is less than or equal to negative 6 plus a is less than 8. All right, need to get a by itself. First thing I want to do is add 6 to all 3 sections. By doing that, that just leaves me with an a in the middle, so I know I'm going to be done after this. On the right, negative 8 plus 6 is going to give me negative 2. On the left, negative 10 minus 6 is going to give me negative 16. Whoops, I am wrong about that. Let's look at the problem a little closer. Y'all get to catch me in a mistake, and believe me, they're not rare. I wanted to add 6 here. Add 6, add 6, add 6. All right, so let me erase this. All right, now I've got negative 10 plus 6, which is what I should have had. All right, that leaves me with negative 4 on the left. All right, now I'm ready to graph. Need to put my numbers down here. Let's go negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0. That's actually enough numbers there. All right, I go to the negative 2. Look at this. It's negative 2. A is less than negative 2. So I want to go negative 2, and I want to put a big open circle. All right. Then I look over here on the left side. I see my negative 4 is going to be less than a, right? Less than or equal to a. So it's going to be closed circle. All right. They're set rather close together. Then you just want to connect them because you know that this is an and you're done. Number 16, we have an or, right, which is two equations put on the same line. All right, I hope by now that you realize to think, okay, it's an or, so they're going to be going opposite directions. All right, let's solve these. All right, got negative 5r is less than negative 25. All right, to get r by itself, you're going to divide by negative 5. You have to do that to both sides. All right, you do that, this side cancels out. You're just left with an r. You divide it by a negative number. All right, one of the biggest mistakes is to forget to switch the sign. All right, negative 25 divided by negative 5. All right, it's going to be a positive number. 25 divided by 5, it's going to be 5. If you're not comfortable with working with negative numbers, please put that in your calculator to check yourself. All right, on the right side, got r plus 3 is less than negative 2. Hope you see that this was a quick fix. You want to subtract 3 from both sides. You're left with r is less than 2 minus 3 is going to give you negative 5. All right, on this one, they're both less than or greater, less than signs, greater than signs. They're both going to be open circles, one at the negative 5 and the other one at the positive 5. All right, so even without looking to see what's going on, you know there's an or. It's going to go in opposite directions. But let's check this out. On the right, r is greater than 5. R is greater than 5. So it goes that direction. All right. On the left, r is less than negative 5. So it goes to the left. All right. Let's move on to 17. All right, we've got 4 more problems, 17, 18, 19, and 20. One of the things I've never mentioned before, the way I'm doing these problems, I'm doing them on an iPad with a stylus with a rubber tip. So it's kind of hard being really neat. I watch these and I think they're understandable. I don't think that it's ever hard to tell them. It might not look the neatest, but I feel fairly confident that you all should have a good feel for the numbers I'm putting out there. All right, let's look at these two. All right, number 17 is another or. All right, what does or mean? Or means it's going to go in opposite directions on the number line. All right, let's do this. On the left side, I got 4 plus 3v is greater than or equal to 19. First thing I got to do is I got to subtract 4 from both sides. I'm doing that because I can't divide or anything until I get this 3v by itself. If I do that, I'm left with 3v is greater than or equal to 15. Next thing I want to do is get 3v by itself. 3 times v, I'm going to divide by 3. If I do that, I end up with v is greater than or equal to 5. On the right side, all right, this one should go pretty quick. All right, 11v plus 12 is greater than negative 21. All right, I want to subtract 12 from both sides. All right, I'm left with minus 33 on the right and minus 11v on the left. Now I've got negative 11 times v is greater than negative 33. All right, and that's supposed to be greater than. Need to get this right. All right, to get it by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 11. All right, negative 11s cancel out. I'm left with v. Sign changes directions. All right, then negative 33 divided by negative 11 is going to give you 3. Let's go put this on the number line. All right, both of them are closed circles. So I'm going to go to 5. All right, I'm going to go to 3. They are closed circles. I know that this is an or, so I know they're going to go in opposite directions, but let's look at the logic behind that. V is less than negative 3. All right, or another way of thinking about this is 3. Well, let's just say v is going to be less than or equal to 3. So it's going to be less than or equal to 3. All right, v is going to be greater than 5. So it's going to go to the right. All right? Even on these ones that you can reason out, still think about what you're doing. All right, getting close to the end here. All right, I have an and. You can tell it's and because it has the 3 sections with the variable in the middle. All right. Like all equations or inequalities, I need to get the variable by itself. So this one, looking at it, it's 8n minus 9 in the middle. So to get that by itself, I know I want to get rid of that 8n minus 8. I know that I want to get rid of that 8. So I'm going to add 8 to all 3 sections. I'm left with negative 32 is less than or equal to 8n less than or equal to negative 8 plus 8. It's going to leave me with a 0 on the right. And that's fine. That's fine. All right. 2-step equation. Now in the middle, I'm left with 8 times n. Okay. Want to get n by itself, so I'm going to divide by 8. Right, I divide the negative 32 by 8. I divide the 0 by 8, which is totally legal in math to divide 0 by a number. Right, negative 32 divided by 8 is going to give me negative 4. Bring down my sign. Stays in the same direction because we didn't divide or multiply by a negative number. In the middle, 8's cancel. I've got n less than or equal to 0 divided by 8 is 0. Right? So, I know I just got to go put those on the number line. Both of them are closed circle, negative 4 and 0. Right? I know it's an and. They're going to connect. I'm done. All right, next to last problem. I've got an or. All right, you see the or. You should ask yourself, all right, it's a compound equation. What's going to happen here? Or they're going to go in opposite directions. All right, if you get something other than that, you've probably made a mistake. Well, you have made a mistake. All right. Okay, let's think about this. All right, there's some new things here that I want you to think about. Got 12 minus v is less than 11. We're going to do this one first. I want to get the v by itself. First thing I'm going to do is subtract 12 from both sides. Okay? If I do that, they go away. I'm left with minus v is less than negative 1. All right, to solve for something, I got to get that negative v by itself. So the way to do that is when you end up with a negative, variable, is just multiply both sides by negative 1. Watch what happens. Negative 1 times negative v is going to give you v. Sign changes directions. Negative 1 times negative 1 is going to give you a positive 1. All right, on the right side. And this is going to look about the same. All right. 5 minus 3v is greater than 5. All right. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. All right. I do that, and I'm left with minus 3v is greater than 0. All right. Even though that's a 0, you still treat it the same way. To get v by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. I end up with v is greater than 0 divided by negative 3 is 0. All right. Looking at this one, both of these are going to be open circles. All right. So v is greater than 1, so I go down to 1, circle it. Go down to 0, circle it. All right. V is greater than, let's see, v is greater than 1. Right? And you look on the other side. Let's see. Oh, we divided by negative 3 here. So, look what I did. When we divide by negative 3, I didn't change the direction. I didn't change the direction of the sign. So it changed, right? I didn't find that till I was setting this up. V is less than 0. All right, less than 0 is going to be to the left, and like we predicted, they went in opposite directions. All right, final problem. All right, okay, we've got the classic AND question, number 20. All right, need to get the variable by itself, the variable that's in the middle. All right, first thing I want to do is I'm going to subtract 1 from all 3 sections. I end up with 36 is less than 12R, because those cancel out. Okay, less than 72. All right, next step, pretty quick. All right, I want to get R by itself. This is 12 times R. I'm going to divide by 12. I'm going to divide by 12. I'm going to divide by 12. If I do that, that leaves R by itself in the middle, less than 72 divided by 12, that's 6. 36 divided by 12 is going to leave you with 3. All right? So 3 and 6, they're both going to be open circles. All right? And those go towards each other because it's an AND, but let's check that. This says that R is going to be somewhere between 3 and 6. It's like monkey in the middle. All right? So all I got to do is connect this, and I'm done. All right, if you have any problems with any of these questions, I would suggest you rewatch this video several times if you need to. All right, the test on Monday won't be any harder than this. All right, it's going to be the same questions. I'm going to just regenerate a lot of the same questions. It's going to have different numbers, maybe different signs, things like that. But if you understand this paper, you can work through this video, get all these problems right, you will be fine. Good luck, and come in ready to take the test on Monday.